she came to you and said what?
Well, she was in town for like 3 weeks, and asked me like, "Hey, when are you gonna have me on your podcast?" I'm like, really? In New Mexico.
Oh, okay, she still was there.
She went back to the airport this morning, so we did it last night.
Oh, okay. What'd y'all talk about?
Just but her mom and dad, more about my grandfather.
So kind of like
a little bit about me, you know, right? Like,
so her, like,
growing up.
Kind of what we did.
Yeah, a little bit about me growing up, and just kind of flowed, right?
Okay, that's good because
so people are like, they're listening, they want to know the family secret things, like the funny, like, you know, hey, I used to play. Yeah, I put you in violin and this, that. Like what? Don't talk about that.
That's very timid. Very mild for embarrassing childhood stories.
I know.
That's a good warm up for this. We talked about your childhood last time, right?
Yeah.
And then we left off, I believe, right away when you met your wife and we're moving to LA.
Okay. Asked her about that too.
You asked her about that?
Mm-hmm. Asked her how she felt.
This is your mom.
No, how she felt when I told her I was moving from New Mexico to LA. It's a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
Because
you grew up there your whole life.
Well, yeah, I lived in a few different. But yeah, it was my home, and kind of like she was expecting me to stay there, to be there.
Yeah. And so she was.
Are these supposed to work?
Yeah. Can you hear yourself?
No.
Are they supposed to work? No, just for show. Can you hear yourself now more and more?
Hello. I think so. Now I can. Can you talk into the mic?
Hello, Alberto.
Yeah.
This is Alex.
That's good. That's
okay.
good.
Turn it down.
I feel like that AC is messing up the audio.
I mean, it'll mess with it, but it's cool. Leave it. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you're, it doesn't matter. They'll get the gist of it.
Okay.
Okay. So your mom was sad when you left. Oh, I can't do this anymore. You told me that last Professor Alberto after the podcast.
No, just talking to the microphone because it's mainly audio, right?
Yeah.
You do.
I got this thing too. I checked out both of them. I was on a plane this past weekend,
Uh-huh.
and I was listening back to the audio. Cause there's 3 sources of audio, right? The video,
Gotcha.
the mics, and this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're absolutely correct. This is the most stable. This is the highest quality. The mics, obviously.
Right.
But this is the most stable until
It's amazing. That's cool. You just playing around, just doing it, right? Sharing
yeah, I mean,
people's stories and
it's this
learning and connecting, right?
Yeah, and there wasn't a direction to be. When I first started in 2018, it was just I turned 30 and I realized I knew nothing about my dad's side of my family because I didn't grow up with my father. And from my mom's side of my family, I knew about my mom's childhood, and I knew about my grandmother's life history starting at my mom's birth, but I didn't know anything about my grandmother. And I was meeting all these people traveling around the world with these giant families, and my family was just me, my mom, my 2 sisters, and my grandma, and that was it. And it just felt like I just knew this very small amount.
And it's nice to document it, right?
Right.
It's just having a conversation and then,
So I literally
saving it, right?
Yeah, just started there, interviewing everyone I knew from there.
How many? You have 2 sisters. How old are they?
I have it's a longer story, but I grew up with 2 sisters.
Okay.
One is 33 and one is 43.
So they're
I'm in the middle.
Middle, okay.
Yeah. But on my dad's side, I have other siblings. I just
Gotcha.
didn't grow up with them, so I have half siblings from that side. And actually, my older sister's a half sibling as well from my mom's first marriage. So it's a big
So you have 2 sisters. So
you met them.
Oh yeah, I remember one of them.
Maybe one of them wasn't there. No, one of them wasn't there. That was my younger one.
Yeah,
You met my mom, my younger one, and then a friend of ours.
But I think the guys who have sisters, grow up with sisters, like, I don't know, it makes you it's like nicer, right? Like you're more sensitive to
100%.
Certain things, like
100%.
female things, and
100%
makes you more, I don't know, like humble and I think a nicer person in a way.
Yeah, no, 100% it does. 100% it does. If anything, in the last 10 years of my life, I've been going other kind of maybe too hard in the other direction, as far as just trying to be super self-reliant, individualistic, getting into things like martial arts.
Yeah.
That's a very kind of masculine,
for sure,
endeavors.
For sure.
And I think that's in a lot of ways in an effort to counter my purely maternalistic,
feminine,
feminine upbringing.
Yeah.
I always said, like, I can't believe I'm not gay, because I grew up with all women my entire life. That's everyone who raised me. But I grew up actually in a very, that's just kind of where it seems like sexuality is genetic, right? Because I was a very heterosexual boy growing up,
no,
sports
for sure.
and running around. But none of that was influenced. It was all girls.
Right,
it just came from who I am or whatever. So
right.
My environment too. I grew up around a lot of kids. I was very lucky.
Anyway,
okay, so you're...
No, but it's I was just going back and then connect my stuff too, right? But it's like, you're more sensitive. I feel like you're more sensitive to growing up with sisters and the female, right? I feel the same with just jiu-jitsu and this life of what I've done. Just it was a nice compliment to growing up with that.
Yeah.
As well. And listen, there's a lot more females now too. Back in my day, there were no females, almost zero.
Yeah.
And if they were there, it was for like another reason. But now it's pretty cool, and it's bigger than. It's just human connection, so it's nice.
Yeah, and there's something super cool about jiu-jitsu. I really try to be conscious of this, that I'm here to get better. That's my number one priority. I'm here to get better at martial arts. But in martial arts, it's not CrossFit, it's not yoga.
Right.
The only way to get better is to have a partner who's going to help you get better.
Yep.
And so it's very psychedelic and perhaps a broader lesson about life and existence, but you're the same. So you need to value your partner and their experience as much as your experience.
You have to take care of them.
Yeah. And it's a constant balance, right? Because you want both of y'all to learn. It's this constant balance. Because if you go hard,
you have to, be better. Try to be better than him. Beat him, but at the same time, you need to help him be better because you're only going to be as good as your training partners. So if a guy's like going down and you're like so much better than him, like he's not really a training partner anymore. So you got to help him.
Right.
And then everybody rises up together.
And then there's the other thing that you have this kind of social aspect to it, where it's like you're here every day, right? So you also want to like cultivate this friendly yet competitive environment at the same time. So even in your social interactions, you want to be friendly and lovey. I like to be friendly and lovey dovey because I grew up with all women, right? I want to like hug and kiss everybody, but at the same time, you want to like make sure like we're here to be competitors too. So it's, I don't know, it's very cool. It's like life in general, right? Just this whole jiu-jitsu martial arts practice is a microcosm for life in general. It's it's very cool. And even within the physical practice itself, right? You want to go hard and tap someone out, right? That's like kind of a wipeout mentality. But you learn quickly that you need to maintain your energy output over the course of the entire time. It's this constant balance.
Well, you still, but you get smarter, you get wiser.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You're still doing the same thing. You still want to do the same thing, but you get smarter and wiser.
Yeah, 100%.
With experience, right?
Okay, so you move out to LA. Your mom is probably not super happy about that.
I wanted to go back. Sorry to
go
on tangents. I know it's allowed here, since that's what we're doing. But did I talk to you about that Sebastian Younger book, the Tribe book?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So just being yourself. So being authentic is important for us, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't read that book, but I listened to it on audio tape. And actually, I was at a bachelor party this past weekend for a friend of mine who I used to live in Honduras doing some work down there, and he was my roommate down there. And Honduras is a crazy place, and it's a very violent place. We had some crazy time down there. But anyway, when we got back, like a year after we got back from working down there.
Have you ever gone to Nicaragua?
Yeah, I've been to everywhere between here and Chile, Argentina.
Okay.
I haven't been to Brazil, Argentina, Chile, or Paraguay. Or Suriname.
Well, you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so
I know. It's coming up.
Maybe you skip one of the countries here and there, but now it's already there.
I'm very obsessed. I have to go chronologically. I have to go in order. So that's what I did in my travels. I just started Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. I just went in order, and I left off at Bolivia.
Going back to me telling my mom that I'm going to be moving to LA, and she was disappointed, right? And so I had to have the conversation because my wife or Edith wasn't Armenian, and usually they marry with like other Armenians, It's like that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Mhm.
Have you seen that movie?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, she chose whatever to do that. It was a big deal, and
That's uncommon in the Armenian community.
yeah. I mean, it's becoming more and more common because
Mhm.
it's like I think just because even in the religion thing, right? It's like the cultures are different. Like whether it be, it's the same, but it's different, right? Muslim and Christian values, this that. Because them being a Christian country around all like Muslim countries. Anyway, being out here, it's more and more common, right? Because become like westernized and this and that. But yeah, she chose, and then she moved out to New Mexico. But once we would have kids, she really wanted our kids to grow up around like the Armenian culture and her family. She has a really big family. It's like that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, except it's Armenian.
My big fat Armenian.
You know, like so many cousins and aunts and so many. The family's so big, so big. So yeah, she moved out there, did make some moves, and then came to LA. And I tell my mom, and she's really disappointed and sad. Because in a way, like I was kind of like especially after her dad had passed, like the kind of the patriarch. Already had a gym there, and a lot of people. I knew a lot of people. And, yeah.
Did you have a gym plan in place moving out here? I think maybe you had mentioned something about that last time.
Did I have a gym plan when I first moved out to LA?
Yeah.
Man, I wasn't sure if I was gonna do it again.
Okay. You thought you might be out.
Yeah, and I did some good financial moves, so I really didn't have to work. And I was like, oh, what do I want to do? If anything's possible. And I was like, well, I started fighting. I want to finish this fighting stuff, fighting in the cage. Like, not that I wanted to hurt people, but, like I love it's like kind of feel like complete the journey, right? In a way.
How old were you at the time?
When I did my first, what part? When I moved out here?
When you moved out here?
Like 30.
So by the age 30, you would establish a gym, kind of found your passion, gained some expertise in that area. And by 30, you would basically gain financial independence.
Kind of, we're in a good place,
Yeah,
for us
earning passive income through.
Yeah, made some good moves.
Shit.
Yeah, it was got our house in a nice neighborhood where we want to, raise our kids in, and yeah.
Damn.
I didn't really have to do it, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it again, but I did. It's funny because I don't know. I watch UFC somewhere, and they somebody tells them about me. Oh, did you do private lessons? And then like I just somehow get sucked into getting on the mat, and teaching, and just random people, But I actually never stopped really, even doing that. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to do another school because it's so much work. You help us with like all kinds of things, and it's just nonstop.
It's
constant, you got to be fully committed.
100%.
And I had kind of raised guys from first day people to black belts already. So I was like, I don't know if I wanted to do that again. I wasn't sure.
Were you just training personally?
I was just training, and then kind of just weighing my options, and then was gonna, because the UFC was asking me to fight.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, and it was a big deal because there weren't that many events.
What year is this?
This is like 2007.
2007. Okay.
And my son actually was going to be born. He was born in 2007, right? So
UFC had kind of popped off at that point, right? Because that's post.
Yeah. So I'm. Well, yeah, exactly. So the 2006 or 5?
5 or 6.
5.
Yeah.
2005. They had the Ultimate Fighter come out, and then actually that's how I opened up a second location in New Mexico. And
because of the Ultimate Fighter?
Well, no, I used like because it wasn't that big yet, but then it was like the exact demographic. So I did like a 30-second spot during, like a TV spot during the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh shit! What a
and
good
so
idea.
when I opened up, I'm smart with surrounding myself with good people,
man.
Smart people, and so I take action. And so we opened up a second spot. I did a 30-second spot and just blew up like overnight, And I was like, oh, this guy, man.
What is a 30? How does that work?
You just rent the time. It was still TV, right? It was Spike TV, so it was like cable. You just go to you rent the 30-second spot on the cable TV.
And it broadcasts just locally.
Locally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Locally.
So I always wondered, like, there's these Tide commercials, but then there's local commercials. Like, what's you're obviously not paying what Tide is paying for national audience.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but it's local. It's local, and then so it's specific. And then, I had that blew up the school. What were we talking about?
Moving out here.
Oh, yeah. And then, I came out here and I did an interview for, actually before I even moved out here, to maybe be on the Ultimate Fighter. like they had the 5th season. They took away the lightweight division for some time. And actually, Kenny Florin, that was here, right?
Yeah,
couple months. He was the first fight back. I don't remember who he fought, but in the lightweight division, they got rid of it for a couple of years, and so that kind of like I just focused on other things like the school and business. And
were you competing in jiu-jitsu?
At that time,
yeah.
I even promoted some fights, MMA fights.
Oh, really? We never talked about your jiu-jitsu competition. I'm assuming you were competing in jiu-jitsu from a young age, like.
Well, I didn't start till I was 18. Because there wasn't really jiu-jitsu.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Like 20s, in your 20s.
Well, I was 18 and I went all in.
Okay.
I just went like
so you're
full
competing
board.
Consistently.
Well, there weren't that many tournaments back then, like there are now.
Okay.
We're like, oh yeah, this every weekend. No, it was like. But I did one every month.
Okay.
I found them and I went.
One every month?
For a lot of years.
Whoa. Yeah, dude, that's committed.
Yeah, I mean, you can do more. I have had guys who do like multiple tournaments every weekend.
Yeah.
They just find them and they do them. And
yeah,
there's a lot of kids actually that do. You stay super busy. I've taken my daughter now too. But yeah, I've done 2 tournaments in a weekend as well.
Whoa.
In New Brazil. I actually did one in one town and then took a flight and did another one in another town. Yeah. Because I was getting really good.
Whoa.
And so you know how to compete, you know how to win, you know how to be efficient, you know.
When you made out to LA, you were still competing then? You're training,
when I first,
not teaching?
Oh no, 2007. I did some jiu-jitsu things. I did some promotions, and then
what was the promotion? MMA promotion?
Yeah, man.
Here in LA?
I did that later on too.
Okay.
But in New Mexico, yeah. Well, I fought in King of the Cage.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. All these things happen. But I wanted an opportunity for my guys to fight, and then the matchmaker for King of the Cage, we became friends because I did good and whatever, and one thing led to another, and we ended up promoting 2 MMA events in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, we crushed it because I had never fought in Santa Fe. It's like, oh, we should do one here. I was like, okay.
You're kind of taking the King of the Cage model to.
It was in a ring because it was hard to get a cage, so we just did a ring. And we just sold out the arena, and made some money.
So, at what point did you start fighting MMA? It wasn't until you got to LA?
No. I was fighting. I had 8 fights before I moved to LA.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I had some big fights actually. My third fight was on pay-per-view. It was against this guy Javier Vasquez, just for the title.
Mm-hmm.
And so
King of the Cage.
Yeah, King of the Cage. It was a big deal. King of the Cage was a big deal back then. It was totally competing with UFC. It was like on that level.
I remember.
And actually, I think that fight that I had, supposedly, I'm not sure if it's true, but it had more views than BJ Penn and Call Luna, which was the UFC title fight at the time. Because it was their second time fighting and nobody wanted to see it.
Yeah.
But my fight, like a lot of people tuned in. Supposedly, I know people were talking about it. But I King of the Cage came to New Mexico in 2002. And I was friends with Greg Jackson, who he wasn't, nobody knew who he was back then, but we were friends, and they're coming to New Mexico. That's cool. I'd be interested in trying it out, to testing my jiu-jitsu in the cage. I had got my black belt that previous year, and so I called them up, and they're like, "Okay, we'll put you on." They put me on the undercard.
Had you had any striking training?
Very minimum. I was pure jiu-jitsu, and I was actually still competing at the highest levels in jiu-jitsu at that time.
Okay.
So I did tournament, like Pans, this, and then June I did an MMA fight, and then I had the Worlds the next month.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I pretty much made it a jiu-jitsu fight. Like he was trying to knock me out, but I just closed the distance and did like a low single leg, and then grabbed his leg, put him down, and then just choked him out.
First round.
First round, yeah. First minute. Yeah. But yeah, so going back to the promotion, it was interesting because.
Can I ask you real quick?
Sure.
Were you scared? I've interviewed just a couple of people that have fought now, and I think I would like to have an MMA fight maybe for like my 40th birthday or something. But I'm scared. I'm primarily scared of. Well, honestly, the only thing I'm scared of is head trauma. I'm scared of head trauma. I'm scared of getting knocked out and it having a long-term effect on my life. Were you scared doing that? I know at that point you competed a ton, so I know it's different than me as much more of a novice. But like, were there nerves? Were you able to sleep? Was there fear?
Of course there is. Of course there is, and it's like a little bit. It's the same, but it's more intense. I feel like, because you're walking. You're in a show, right? It's like lights, and you're in a stadium, yeah, you can get knocked out and be humiliated. I think that's the main thing, is just your feelings, getting hurt, because you're kind of vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
You can win, you can have, everybody likes to when you win, you like when you win, but also it can be the other side too.
Yeah.
So, is that what you asked me?
Yeah, fear.
Am I scared? Like, yeah, for sure. But it's okay. Listen, you can be scared. You can be nervous, but the difference is just having courage, and then just do it. You step into the fire and come out the other end.
What'd your mom think when you were stepping into a cage? I don't know.
I didn't tell her. I didn't ask her. I just did it. And when we did our promotions, I ended up having to fight on it as well. Okay. And so I knew like the opponents were like not so hard. So I knew I was going to be able to control the fight pretty well. And so I invited her to come watch.
But this one you did your promotion.
I'm sorry?
This was
the one when I invited her, yeah.
So you fought for several years without her knowing?
No, she would know. But she didn't. She's not watching. She's
right.
Like,
okay.
I don't want my mom watching. She's gonna worry and stress.
Right. No, neither would I, man.
Yeah. So the promotion came, and I did my first fight to test myself. But I was competing. I was full on jiu-jitsu mode. I had the Pans in March. I had a Team Brasileiro, which is like a team, like a dual kind of meet with other teams that we won, and in Brazil. And then March was in Florida, the Pans, whatever. April was in Brazil, São Paulo, I remember, and then May was probably some other tournament, smaller tournament, and then June was the MMA fight, and then July was the Worlds.
Whoa!
So I was pretty active,
extremely active.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, and I was doing other deals and things like that at the same time.
Because you're running a business too, right?
Yeah, and I remember, what was it, 2000? What year was that? 2002. Yeah, we ended up buying the building for the gym at the time too. So we're like moving the gym too. That we're on that time.
When you say we, who are you referring to?
We, as far as what?
The other humans, because it sounds like it's you.
No, it's
you weren't
me.
married
it's
at
me,
the time.
For sure. It's me. But like I don't think anybody does anything alone.
Right.
And so I say we, because I feel like it's like a team thing. Like we're gonna have our own gym. We're gonna have our own place. Like I feel really connected, and that's part of my motivation to, to make moves and to do things, because somebody that's not invested in jiu-jitsu or this way of life, they can like fuck you over, and I don't like that.
Yeah. No. Who
I like to be in control.
Is there anyone that's here now at Legacy that was with you in New Mexico back in the day?
Well, the Legacy West Adams.
Okay.
Mark Bradford. He actually grew up in out here in LA in Atwater Village.
Okay.
Which is next to Hollywood and Glendale and all that. So he actually took over the Hollywood gym, because I don't know if I talked about that yet, but I had 6 gyms that I opened up before, and so he ended up taking over the Hollywood gym that we had.
Was he trained with you in Santa Fe?
Yeah, he used to drive up from Albuquerque.
Oh shit!
Which is like an hour away, and he would train with me. He was my first generation of students, and he has the Legacy West Adams gym.
Yeah.
But I have people that come through all the time.
Yeah, I've seen people come through all the time. There's always seems like there's always someone there every week, or multiple people in every week that's like been through your tree, so to speak, or branch of your tree, right? I want to get back to your MMA career real quick, but like there's a branch in I grew up watching football primarily. It was my number one sport, and there's NFL coaches they refer to as having a coaching tree, which is like they were a head coach. You're an NFL head coach. You have an offense coordinator, you have defense coordinator, you have linebackers coach, you have position group coaches, blah 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 blah, and then those coaches go on to become head coaches, and then they create their own tree, and they just branches, and you're that. It's very cool to see. So anyway, how did this MMA career progress then after that first fight? Like, I like this.
So what happened, right? They didn't pay. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing.
Amateur, right?
No, it was pro. They didn't have amateur in those days.
Okay.
So straight pro. It's kind of the same thing, man. It's just the amateur, they don't pay you anything.
Right.
Not that I got paid much for the pro, but they paid me like $300
For that fight.
for that fight.
Okay, pro athlete.
Yeah, but they said I was like $300. Like really? And then yeah, even gas. I can even pay for the gas. But I was like, but I will give you a percentage of the tickets. You know.
Okay.
I was like, oh really? Okay. But you have to buy them whatever from the casino, and so I was like, okay. So I swiped my credit card and got like $10,000 worth of tickets. You know, and I went from the undercard to like right before the main event, like semi-main event. You know.
You just bought all of them?
Well, I bought like $10,000 worth.
That you could? Did you just go and sell them from there?
I sold them all, yeah.
Wow. And you turned a profit?
Yeah, of course.
Or got your money out? Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Hustling.
Yeah.
Whoa. I'd be ecstatic right there. I've always wanted to be a professional athlete my entire life. If I get paid $1 for a fight,
yeah, and
it
changed. Yeah, it changed. It changed, right? From me, like, they're like, oh, shoot, this guy's he's brings people to.
Yeah, man.
Like, this guy's our ticket, you know?
Right.
And so, you know, I had a name in jiu-jitsu, and, you know, I was pretty, but I had never competed in New Mexico.
Right.
So it was my first time competing in New Mexico.
Even jiu-jitsu?
It was an MMA fight,
right,
but just competing. Yeah, even jiu-jitsu. There was no jiu-jitsu things.
Okay.
There was nothing. I had to go everywhere else. Because I brought jiu-jitsu to the States. You know, it was until I did a couple like kind of events where we had matches, matches and tournaments. Before that, there was nothing.
So you're competing once a month at some points, and none of these tournaments are even in New Mexico?
Right.
Are you on planes? You're driving all over the Southwest?
Some, you know, Vegas, California, LA. Texas. Like we drove. Arizona. Sometimes we go to Arizona from New Mexico.
Holy smokes! Zero excuses. I always think like, oh, I'm so busy. I don't. Yeah. I'm not gonna do
everybody's so spoiled, you know, in SoCal. They're just like, oh, it's so far, like 2 hours away.
Yeah, that's kind of.
We drive like 13 hours, 14 hours, even a little bit more sometimes to Texas. You know?
Yeah. I started off that mentality when I first started a year and a half ago. I was like, I want to compete every month. And then I did like 2 and 4 months. I was like, okay, maybe quarterly. And then it came quarterly to like, okay, only in Southern California.
You know what really helps with that?
What?
That Tracton. Have you heard of it?
Tracton?
Yeah. Tracton like a man.
No, but it's true, dude. That's my fit. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not saying anything to anyone. But that's feminine upbringing. I've learned that about myself. I've 100% learned that about myself, especially working with kids. It's that a dad would tell you,
suck it
go
up.
to the fucking tournament. You said you're going to go to the tournament, go to the tournament. Yeah. But growing my mom she did an awesome job raising 3 kids by herself. But my mom would be like, she would just level with me. We'd have a conversation about, oh, you're tired of the tournaments? Okay, well, if you're not enjoying it, don't do it. You know,
we're wired differently, right? We're wired differently, and I'm learning as, you know, being raised by a single mom, and just what we do, like what guys do, what guys can do, and what moms can do, you know, men and what women do. Part of the upbringing, right? And for example, my daughter, she wrestles, right? She's wrestling at a high level, and so my you know, her mom is always very like, oh, like, you know, emotional support, and they need that she's a female, but she's a warrior, right? At the same time, but where did we go? We went to Fresno for like the state tournament, and we brought her other friend was there, but it's just the dynamic. She was kind of like harder. She was like, you know, like mentally like tougher.
Your daughter.
Yeah, because the mom wasn't around.
Oh shit.
There was no room to be like
yeah.
Oh, my baby, poor baby.
I see it. Your wife.
Not that my wife isn't tough or strong or anything, you know, but it's just that mother, that female, whatever it is, you know, we need that. We need that too. Hey, as guys, we need that, you know. That's what makes the world go round and round, right?
100%.
That feminine energy. But she caught that because she had a really good tournament, and then there was another tournament we went to, the regionals in Utah. This is like, you know, a few months ago, and she asked my wife if she wanted, do you want me to go? And she like thought about it, and she's like, no.
Whoa!
But we're gonna go to the nationals like this month in Fargo, North Dakota. We're gonna be in the stands anyway, but yeah, she knows like it's different.
Yeah, she recognizes.
She recognizes it. She's gonna be.
Wow, that's
like the, you know, but they need it. They need it too. They need the especially, well, guys too, man. But girls, they need that love, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, whoa, that's incredible self-awareness, man, from your daughter. Because it's taken me, I think, in my 30s to really grasp, like, oh, man, like, I've got some major flaws in my game here. Or however you want to phrase it. But I see that.
It's interesting for me too to see, because she is a girl.
Yeah.
And she is a female, but she's just wired. She's very like has my personality, but she's like I don't know. She's like this. She's a girl. Mm-hmm. But she's just like she's kind of like just so tough, Yeah. And then when she's around me, or like that masculine thing, she I don't know, becomes one with that thing,
I see that in kids all the time. I see that in young kids. I work with toddlers, right? Mm-hmm. And you see that all the time when they're with me.
They look at the mom and they cry. When they look at the dad, they're like, they suck it up.
They're so, or just in general, like
they don't cry. They don't. They don't get the mom.
They're so tough when we're out in the world together at the playground. These two girls that I take care of, they're so tough and resilient and calm and non-reactionary. And then they get home. It's like they've been out all day, and I'm like trying to teach them to be tough, and they'll give up and push forward, and they get home, they just want to like melt into their mom's arms, Yeah. But you need both, man. Kids need to be loved. Kids need to be cuddled,
that.
And you need both.
We need that. We all need it.
Yeah. Okay, so you do 8 King of the Cage fights in Mexico before you even make it to LA. New Mexico, excuse me.
So I did 8 fights. We did I would say King of the Cage. I did. So I fought for the title. The first 2 was just, they wanted me to fight again, and I was like, listen, that's not enough money. It's not worth my time, because I did that first fight where I bought all those tickets. Yeah. And they're like, and the champion at that first event was like kind of acted like stuck up, like he was better than me. Mm-hmm. And so I became friends with the matchmaker, and so he knew I felt like insulted because he came to New Mexico, and I was like my home, And so and I'm super like nice and friendly, and I was like, hey man, how's it going? I was gonna say whatever, just congrats, whatever on his success, this that, but he was like kind of like whatever, And I was like, oh man, all right, okay. And so they're like, okay, we're not going to pay you. We can't pay you too much, but we'll give you a title fight if you do this next fight. And so they canceled that October event because I was like, I'm not going to fight in it because it's like I'm not motivated. Like, but we'll give you a title fight if you fight this next one in December. In February, we'll get you a title fight. And so they did, and it was a big deal. It was like on pay-per-view.
How did the second fight go?
I submitted the guy right away, and then because nobody had a chance. Nobody was on my level of jiu-jitsu. Yeah, and I was still like representing jiu-jitsu too. It's still like kind of earlier days.
Yeah. I was about to say back in the day, if you had sick jiu-jitsu.
And there weren't that many like guys high level like jiu-jitsu. And then I did the third fight, and then after the fight, it was a big deal because I had beat their champion, and he was like gonna fight in the UFC, which was a big deal then. But there was like no money, and it's like they gave me like the contract. I'm like, I didn't need it for the money. I'm not fighting for the money. And so I had my trainer actually. There's a kid, Jess. His dad was like my trainer, and so he can help.
Jess was in here a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So his dad is my trainer. We're like really super close, and so I had him help me with some of the management stuff. And so he just walked away from the title, because it's like it's not worth it, It's like why am I gonna put myself in a contract for like no money, and like why,
You're in such a unique position as a young up and coming fighter to already have like a business going. Most fighters when they're trying to make a career in MMA are struggling artists.
For sure. Yeah, I remember that struggling artist, right? Even when I first started my gym, when I came back from Brazil, that whole like somebody said like that, like because in Santa Fe there's a lot of artists and stuff. Oh, like a struggling artist, like martial artist, whatever you say, like struggling artist, struggling more. And I'm like, I just don't think of myself like that, Yeah. I work hard. I'm like, why do I need to struggle? Right. Why can't I do my best and enjoy? Work hard, right? Do all the right things. But why do I have to struggle? Yeah. And especially now, after dedicating my life to this, like, man, I add so much value to people's lives. Yeah, help so many people. Like, why should I be,
Yeah. Well, so many people, it seems like, dedicate their. It's what jiu-jitsu is teaching me. If you dedicate your time and energy to something on a consistent basis, you can get really good at it really fast, which teaches you a lot about life. But you're a unique human being in the sense that you don't limit it just to jiu-jitsu. You use that same dedication and investment of time and energy in other areas of your life. It's most people don't do that.
I mean, listen, even during COVID, right, when we weren't essential, so they shut us down, and really showed me like who I am and what I'm about. And listen, if I had to get a 9-to-5 job and teach at night after work, I would do that because I believe in this so much, and have maybe somebody teach a day class, you know, if they're off, whatever, and we figure it out. But the party would continue. That's what it came down to, right? Because I believe in this work, you know. And if I had to get a 9-to-5, if I have to do some other work, so be it. Doesn't matter, you know. And I was like, man, that's like I'm fully like I'm all in. I guess I'm all in. Shit. Yeah, no, yeah. There's nothing's gonna stop it, you know, because this is what the world needs, really, to be. I feel like to be a better place.
No,
From little kids, from our little babies to our little tinies to our Savage, who's like almost 80. You know, it's like, man, why would we take that away from people? For myself too, man. I need it too.
Yeah, it's so cool to see it. It's part of who you are. It's not gonna stop. Yeah, something quick with me with jiu-jitsu, obviously on a much smaller level, just myself, where I realized at some point that like, oh, I'm just gonna keep doing this until my body can't do it anymore. And I felt the only other thing I've ever felt that way about is yoga. But you can feel that way about other things on a much broader level, an investment in something it's like your children or something, right? Nothing's gonna stop you. Okay, so you dropped the belt, how do you still end up in the game?
Well,
did you make money off the pay-per-view fight, like actual money?
Man, no, it's like, well, whatever. I made a few thousand, you know.
Right, but it wasn't becoming anything that was going to be a sustainable living.
Nah, it was a joke, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I have like higher, like I'm better than anybody, but I don't know. I think of myself more. I don't need that.
Right.
Because you spent like months training, and you're gonna make a couple thousand, so you're gonna make $600 a month, you know, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Not worth it.
You can't, like, how you gonna?
Yeah.
Okay, you can get some sponsors. I mean, when the UFC, those things, you can get a little more sponsors, right? People support you, but still, it's like it's not real, like. Future.
And you have to sacrifice everything.
Yeah, you have to go. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. You know, your body, your everything, all your time.
But you kept doing it a little bit.
Yeah. So you know, I gave it up, and then one of my best friends on Mall Easton is in Colorado, and they had this promotion up there, and they were like asking me if I wanted to fight there, and I'm like, okay, that sounds good. You know, I kind of fought in the cage. There was a ring. That one is a ring. And like, okay, you know, you can fight for another title here, like Ring of Fire was called, I think, and so I did that fight for another title. Okay, cool, thanks. And then I got another phone call to fight in Japan. And I always wanted to fight in Japan. That's because I was really like samurai, you know. Like go to Japan, and so I did that. And then how many fights is that? That's like 5 fights now. And then what was next? Oh, and then I wanted to do they wanted me to fight this guy for my first defense of the title. And so I ended up walking away from the title. So I was like, I want to fight that guy just to be, you know, for the record, you know, like that I wasn't like dodging anybody or whatever. So we got a fight with that guy, and I, you know,
it was actually back with the Mall Easton.
No, I was in New Mexico. New Mexico. No, why did I say Mall Easton? Because I'm friends with a bunch of guys in Colorado. So that Ring of Fire event was in Colorado.
Okay, Colorado.
So I went up to Colorado for that.
Okay.
And then I came back, and then so that's like, how was that, 5, and then I did the rematch, or not rematch, but a fight with the guy I was supposed to defend my King of the Cage title with, just so there's no
King of the Cage. Okay.
King of the Cage. So I went back King of the Cage, and I was like, hey, I wanna fight that guy that I was supposed to fight for my defense. Because I don't want him to feel like I wasn't gonna, you know, I was dodging or whatever. Yeah. So I was like there was no money, but I don't need a belt. What does a belt mean? I already got the belt, actually. Yeah. It's in my house, you know.
And you had a Ring of Fire belt too?
Yeah, Ring of Fire belt. Yeah, you know, whatever. You know,
that's so cool though.
Yeah, it was cool. It's cool. And then when you're young, right? It's
really man. Cool. Are you kidding?
Like, put a belt on you. You know. Like,
I think it's cool when I won a jiu-jitsu medal. I'm 36.
And it is. And then what happened? So I did a fight with him, and I broke my wrist. 1 week before that fight, I was the main event for that King of the Cage, where I was gonna fight that guy I was supposed to fight for my first defense of my title, right?
Yeah.
And I broke my wrist. I didn't know it was broken at the time. And, I put a lot of tape and it hurt really bad. I couldn't really grab anything, And, it was crazy. I ended up choking the guy. I did a crucifix and a one-handed choke on him.
Wait, so you went into the fight breaking?
Yeah, it was broken. I didn't know it was broken for like 6 months.
Whoa.
I just kept training. I did a bunch of tournaments. Still, I continued on. It just hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And then I did a couple of more fights actually on it too.
After that?
After it was broken, I didn't know. Yeah, but then I was actually at my friend Amal Easton's gym in Colorado, and he had an ER doctor training with him. He was like, have you? And I asked him, I was like, hey, can you look at my wrist, He's like, have you gotten an x-ray? I was like, no. He's like, let's go right now. And he took me into the thing and had a fracture in my wrist.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, take some calcium pills and whatever.
You didn't cast it up?
Rest it a little bit. No, just it was like that boxer's fracture.
Yeah. Were you training more striking at this point? You're like 6, 7
No, of course,
in?
of course.
Were you training Muay Thai?
I was training everything. I was training Muay Thai. I was training some boxing. I actually broke my wrist doing boxing.
Okay.
Just hit him
Because
wrong.
at this point, we're talking 2005, 2006, 2007.
I was in it was all 2003, 4.
2003, 4. But MMA is starting to, like, the training regimen
It wasn't
is starting to
until
be more developed.
it was still like very under like it was still very. But I was promoting it, right? We were doing events. I was fighting. Like we had I had like a huge like following in the state. Like if I got pulled over by police or somebody, Alberto Crane.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. When I would go to tournaments and drive back, sometimes I'd be speeding to get back because we drive 13 hours. So you want to get home. And there's no traffic. It's like big old open freeway.
Yeah.
But then there's like highway patrol or whatever. Oh, Alberto Crane. Like some of my guys like the cloud. Oh, thank you, son. He's like, just stay safe out. Stay safe. Whatever. Like, thank you, officer. But what happened in 2000? Yeah, so 2004.
From
and
training.
And then we did those promotions. I was like, well, what's next? And it's like, okay. I was just thinking like, man, it's like the money, it's like it's like a joke. I obviously I never fought over the money or fought for money, but it was like it's like a minimum like of your time, right? That you want to be doing. So we did a couple of promotions. I was friends with the matchmaker, and we ended up putting it together. First, we did one fight, one event, and then I ended up having to. It was like 7. We had all these fights, and I had like 4 or 5 of my guys fight on it, and I fought on it too.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Was that a ton of work? Was that how? What was it?
I think the first time I fought last, right? And it was crazy. It was nuts. But like I was in Santa Fe and local, and so I had like things set up, and I promoted a couple shows out here in LA later on, and that was nuts, man. That was nuts. I'll tell you that later. But 2004, 2005. So 2005 we did that, and then I took a hiatus from fighting until I moved out to LA. I was like, well, there was no lightweight division in the UFC because there was no goal now to fight in the UFC. So I took a break. I just focused on.
You 8-0 in MMA?
I was 8-0.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I was 8-0, and then and there's a poster. If you walk up the stairs, Crane returns. It was that one where I got I fought the guy I was supposed to defend my title against. So I was the poster for that King of the Cage poster. And then I just focused and did well and made moves and still went to the tournaments, for coaching.
This is when you're now back in LA, or
no, it was still in New Mexico.
Okay.
I knew I was going to be moving to LA.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, because the prices were different here than in New Mexico, like the house prices and cost of living. So it's a different world. So I had to like make some financial moves to be able to, have a lifestyle and, be in a good neighborhood for my kids and good schools and, be set up, right? And continue doing what I'm able to do. Not continue to be able to do what I love to do. Not be able to.
So you move out to LA, that's like what did you say, 30? You move out to LA?
I moved, so 2000, we got the keys to our house, the birthday of Sevan, 2007. 2007, beginning of 2007, actually.
And so, and you're just spending your time when you're initially out here. You're still training jiu-jitsu. Are you still competing jiu-jitsu?
No. I was just like trying to see next steps, what I was gonna do, and just. I trained. I went to I have friends everywhere, so I would go to Hollywood, and I had my buddy Sean Williams. He had a Hollywood BJJ back in the day. I'd go train with him. He was like a Renzo Gracie black belt, early Renzo Gracie black belt. Him and I had a few friends, actually him, and was the main place I would go at the time. And then just trying to see next steps, And then the UFC was knocking on my door asking me to come be a part. They invited me to do the Ultimate Fighter, but it was gonna be when my son was gonna be born in that time, So I was like, I'm not gonna. And you have to be gone for like a couple months.
Yeah, and like no contact with.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to do that. But then they were still wanting me to fight for the UFC. So, what was it? July, or I don't know what it was, but in the summer after he was born, I did my UFC debut. First guy to fight out of this area, Glendale and stuff, and just kept fighting,
What was training for that like? Was it different now that it was UFC?
I didn't have my. I moved out to LA. I had a really good camp in New Mexico. I had Greg Jackson. I had like my people there too. Just had a nice, and we traded in altitude. So I had and he was a really good trainer. And sure enough, like later on, he had like the best MMA team like in the world. George St. Pierre, John Jones, like you name him, like he was the trainer, coach of the year. I remember asking him too, like back in the day, because it was like there was like no MMA like future. It's like, what's your goal? Like, what do you want to do? He's like, well, I just want to be known as the best trainer in the world. And he did it, man. He got all these awards, MMA Trainer of the Year multiple times, all these UFC champions. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see him do. And I felt that initially when I went there. He was a really good coach. They did what's that movie called? Warrior, and it's like basically it's Greg Jackson, the coach, because he would listen to classical music. It was all his like little things. It's like, oh man, this one Greg Jackson. He was like smart. He just thought like history is like this history buff, and he would break it down.
I remember one of the first MMA fights I ever saw. He's in the corner with John Jones, like talking to him about like imagining a waterfall.
Yeah.
Close your eyes.
Exactly.
I'm like, what the fuck? Who is this guy?
Yeah. But
it was awesome.
Yeah. It was good. He's good.
But you didn't have that when you're.
So when I moved out here, I was like, because I don't want to go away from the family. But when you have to be committed to something, like you have to go all in, And I didn't want to. So I stayed here, and I was training jiu-jitsu and stuff at Sean Williams, and he was versed a little bit in MMA. But I needed to go to like an MMA gym, and I became friends with the guy Edmund Torredian. He was like Ronda Rousey's coach, So So he did my striking. I did my kind of grappling with Sean Williams. We went out to New York too. We did went to New Mexico too, but I never really got my flow,
Scattered training.
Yeah, scattered, and just never got my flow. And end up like having my first loss is a big deal, and everybody's like, you're on top, everything's good when you're not, like everybody criticizes you, you suck, this, that. And then, it's like, okay, what's next, right? And I ended up going to train with Dan Henderson at Team Quest in Temecula, which is like 2.5 hours, 3 hours, whatever, something like that, by car. And so my first jiu-jitsu coach, he was like a Navy SEAL, and he introduced me to Scott Sonnen, the TACFIT, behind me, the TACFIT creator. And he was talking about all these different things. I'm like, what, and why I got souplayed on my head and my neck, but was really hurt. And he's like, let me see, and showed me some movements. And usually it's like 4 to 6 weeks to heal, and it never really fully gets better. You're taking pain pills, and they just talk about surgery, right? But he showed me some movements, and I was able to heal my neck in 1 week,
Whoa.
And I've done the same thing with so many of my students, like not just the neck, but just all parts of the body, just how things work, right? And so he gave me started to open my mind up to different things. Like one of the things being that was that one thing that I never forgot, that I can heal myself with movement. And so that was good, right? Because whatever, it's like you think one thing's down, but I got introduced to Scott Sonnen, who would really be instrumental in my overall health and life, and then I went to Temecula to train with a MMA guys, and it was really cool at the time. Dan Henderson was like the Pride champion, double Pride champion. You had like everybody coming through there, like UFC, Olympic, gold medal, judo guys, wrestling guys, world champion, everything. The who's who was there, you know. So it was a really cool environment. But I couldn't drive back and forth, you know. So Ryan Parson, he was like Mo Lawal, like Jason Mayhem Miller, a bunch of Dan Henderson's kind of manager too.
Okay.
So anyway, he had an extra room, but we ended up Rio Shonen, who did that flying heel hook on Anderson Silva. So we all kind of stayed in his house, like different rooms. He had his daughter too at the time, baby daughter, but he was really cool. And I was like, I can just stay here, and so I would go down Monday morning, do the pro practice, and it was like 11 o'clock, whatever. And then I would stay there till Thursday, until the pro practice, and then I would drive home. And so, 4 days a week, and then recover on the weekend, see my family. And I did that for a while until my Edith got pregnant with our twins, with our twin girls. And I'm like, I was amazed. I was like, oh man, twins, you know, I'm gonna have a little squad, you know, 3 boys. I was thinking, you know, and then it came out they were 2 girls. You know, and then, you know, when it comes down to, you just want them to be healthy and good, and what a blessing. Here we are. She's the one that's the fighter, you know. So cool, man.
Dude, that's a beautiful. I don't want to get
the warrior gene, you know. Like, that my son is. He's top. He's top. You know. He's gonna be a late bloomer. Yeah. You know, but he's getting it. He's getting it little by little. Yeah. He's come a long way already.
And the third one, Sona, right?
Yeah, she got her blue belt. She's doing a lot of track and running and stuff.
That's right, she runs track.
And so I don't want to force her.
Of course not.
She likes it though. She likes it. I know she likes it. It's just like, it's so much like her sister is so much of this, you know. So it's like, it's good for her to have her own thing, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm really happy she got a blue belt, and hopefully she continues with it in the future. But I don't want to force it. I'm very proud of her for getting her blue belt and following through with that, because it's a lot of work, a lot of days, a lot of years of dedication. She's been on the mat too since she was like 3-4. You know what I mean? Yes. So she's gonna turn 16. Yeah, well, yeah, like it's all good. It's all good. And she's still like, I know they play, and you know, it's in her, you know. It's in her, so I'm proud of that.
Yeah. All I'd want is those kids to just find something that they're passionate about, makes them happy, and go that direction.
Yeah.
Where are we at with time?
Like, it's okay. A couple more minutes. 5 minutes.
We gotta go to class.
We'll have to do a part 3.
Yeah, 100% we will do a part 3. Yeah, so let's let me bring us to like a conclusion here, at least for this is more like kind of your MMA part. So the 2 girls are born. Now you have to come. You're like, I gotta.
So stay. So listen, like I was like, man, I can't be gone, you know, 4 days out of the week. You know, like it was good because my wife has, you know, a lot of support, her mom and everything else. True. Just it's good, you know, emotionally and everything else. And then I was like, I can't. I gotta stay home now. And so I had this one private student. His name Adam. He actually rearranged. He was like the CEO, this investment banker guy, and he made his schedule basically around my training schedule. It was pretty cool, and he lost all this weight. I was actually doing TAC-FIT stuff with him.
Okay.
Yeah, I was learning the stuff from Scott, and I would just like use it for him, and like completely change his life. He had all these pains, he had all these things, and all of a sudden he's like just optimized. And so he like whenever I had time, I made it work, and really took care of me too financially. So it was really, really good, and we had developed a really nice relationship. And he wanted to keep it going, and so I live, you know, Glendale, Burbank area, right, Glendale. And he ended up getting a house in Calabasas. You know, he was on the west side, and like I said, we figured out where we were gonna train. But he's like, we wanted to keep it going. So like, man, please, like, do a school like maybe near me, maybe near you. And so we like kind of figured out that Encino was kind of halfway. Like we were close, you know. And he really he was part of my. His name was Adam Roseman. Shout out to him. You know, he was like, remember that Zion's drink? He
was like advertising UFC.
Yeah, he was at the beginning. Yeah, the Spike TV times looked like the logo. Yeah, but he was like the CEO for a second just because he helped out. But he's a really connected guy, you know, and he's a huge MMA fan. But he was like so instrumental and just supporting me, and we really developed in a really nice relationship, you know. So he ended up getting a big house in Calabasas, and next to the Kardashians. Anyway, we settled on halfway between my house and his house, and that's how Encino was born. Legacy Encino.
Wait, does that exist now?
So I when I got involved, I switched over Legacy to Gracie Baja because the Master Carlos Gracie. We can get into that. It's like a longer story, you know. But yeah, but then I did the Legacy Pasadena.
Okay.
And so Legacy Pasadena is back. The sign is actually still there. It's on Ventura Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
But I sold it to somebody else, and because I was far for me to go. And that guy, my student, he ended up moving to China to become a billionaire.
Right.
And so like it didn't like why was I going to Encino? And, you know?
Right.
And so I kind of tried to
pull it closer to home.
Well, yeah. And so I ended up opening up like 6 gyms, Gracie Baja gyms. The Master Carlos Gracie Jr. He took me out to lunch and he wanted me to be a part of the franchise, you know. And I was their first American black belt, Gracie Baja.
Whoa.
So I was like, I was not going to say no. My wife wasn't happy because we were doing really well, you know.
Yeah.
We had the Legacy in Encino and the Legacy in Pasadena. But I had a lot of my training was in Pasadena, like my Muay Thai, like my weightlifting. And so a lot of guys were actually driving from Pasadena over there. So that's why I did the second one. And then, I ended up doing more, switching it over to Gracie Baja. And then the third location was here in Burbank. And I always knew this was going to be my home gym because I live nearby here.
Okay.
But Pasadena, I spent a lot of years there. Yeah. We did some really good work. We had some really good students.
Okay.
And I ended up selling those gyms, like Orlando Sanchez. He was ADCC champion.
That's the first conversation I ever had with you. You were telling me about Orlando Sanchez, the Pasadena gym. I was sitting at the Acai Jungle Cafe. It was like my first week of Legacy.
Okay. So we did some good work. We had some really good students and guys that came out of these different things. And how I got back into even teaching, having a gym was interesting too because I wasn't sure I wanted to do it. But actually Orlando and a few guys like Aqua that's still here, I taught for free out of this Muay Thai gym for like 6 months. He's like, can you do a class at like 10 a.m. in the morning? I was like, okay, because I love it. Like, can you do it twice a week? I was like, okay. At the Muay Thai gym, I was training at the Cedar Tongue. It's the same place where Andy comes from, and all my Muay Thai coaches, he comes out here sometimes to do workshops and stuff. And then 3 times a week, I was for sure. And I did it for free for 6-7 months. And then there was a tournament coming up, and I took 6 guys and 5 guys that got first place. And I was still not sure if I was going to do another school. And after that moment, I was like, I got to do another school.
Yeah. Fuck. I'm back.
Yeah. I was like, man,
you have to.
It's like that's fucked up if I don't do this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and so I decided at that moment that's what
it's kind of weird, right? It's like almost selfish if you.
Yeah, it's totally, and I was still doing it, right? I was still doing it, not at school, but I was still teaching and helping people. Like, why am I not doing my best? Why am I not creating a community, why am I not doing that,
Yeah.
And so I guess, we'll continue on, but basically that's how it started to that, the gym stuff. And then Encino happened, and then Pasadena happened. And then, eventually Burbank, there was a third spot, actually in my steps. And then, I switched them over to Gracie Baja. And then I ended up doing 6 gyms, Gracie Baja gyms, and then it's a longer story, but
we'll get in part 3.
Yeah. It's been fun, man. It's been fun, and because I was involved. I'll just finish with this. I was involved with 6 gyms. It made me realize what is important to me, what matters to me. And it's not to have I did it because great, we get to change, help more people, this and that. It wasn't so much the money. It was never about the money for me, but I ended up being more managerial, and I was like, it's not what I'd rather do something else that would make more money, like investment banking or whatever, if it was about the money for me. Because it was about the relationships, like what we're doing right now. It's about the connection with the student, is helping them get better. These moments, that's what it's about for me. And so once that got taken away, and I was only in the office and managing people, I was like, I gotta get out of this, and I gotta just be in one. And so I got out of all those 6 gyms until I was only here in Burbank.
Whoa! And then started the growth again.
Yeah, now we're back. Right, we're growing again. But I didn't want to. I'm always open to things, you know. But my wife was like, "No, you're staying here, staying here, staying here." And then we're just so packed at the seams that so many black belts, so many things that I was like, "Okay, it's 1, 2," and now we're growing again, but the right way. But I realize who I am and what's important to me, and what I need to do to to be happy and be real, be authentic with myself. And that's just being connected with the students, seeing them grow. And as long as I can do that, I can be this person, like I'm being annoying to some of the young guys and just be here, be here, just be here, seeing you get good, seeing your jiu-jitsu improve, you know what I mean? Like just being here, seeing, just being connected. Yeah,
no, I get it on a smaller scale. And I really appreciate that about you. And you can tell when you're in here that you're here to be involved in the gym, and the amount of connections and like people you're constantly interacting with. It's inspiring. And what you just said is inspiring about like you saw those 5 people win. You're like, I have to do this. Like, recognizing that there's a gift to share, that there's a power to share, that there's an energy inside of you, and doing everything you can to impart that and share it with others, rather than just acting in kind of isolationist, selfish way. Yeah,
and it's the same thing with this growth now of legacy, right? Mm-hmm. The growth of legacy and what we're doing. It's the same frequency. Like, let's do our best, on the mat, do the best, live our best lives, right? Share this energy, share this frequency.
All right, that's a beautiful place to stop it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.